Today is a very hot topic because everybody is trying to set up their flows with AI using different tools, using different workflows. And that resonated with our team a lot because that consequentially influences a lot of your outreach and your results overall. So here we are to talk what sort of impact AI outreach makes on your results and how to maximize what you're doing and do this more efficiently. We get started.
And talk to a lot of different people, and I see that very, very often. People use AI every time AI use AI. Everyone is using AI. So challenges, those are real challenges because AI is adapting very rapidly. So filters are. And we are here just about to talk a little bit more about different risks and challenges that AI brings to the table with all of the adapting filters and so on. So yeah, excited to talk a little bit more about this.
All right, great. So I do have a couple of questions to you, Marta, because you face a lot of customers, a lot of clients of ours and prospects. From your experience, what type of workflows do you meet the most?
Do you mean like how people use AI right now?
Yes, yeah, exactly. For our
Well, it's adapting very, very much and very rapidly. I think the most often that I face that people use AI for email crafting, and the most painful thing for me is that prompts they use are not very much not the best to use for email crafting things. We face that a lot. Currently, the biggest challenge that I see is since we are using AI, we have Claude, we have ChatGPT, and we have so many other tools that can help us do that. But the biggest challenge right now is those are very similar. If your prompt isn't good enough, if you are not sure who are you targeting, or you're not sure about the offer or about the best pains that your future customer is facing, you won't get there. And the biggest challenge right now is when you craft the copy, it will look so much alike like the other copies. Even though you have different industries, if you open your inbox, and I'm pretty sure Anna, you face that a lot. If you are opening your inbox, you see very similar emails from different people with different level of personalization. And what drives me a little bit crazy when I look at the emails that are mentioning something not very relevant, but still there people are trying to make email looks very personalized. But this is kind of very high level personalization about my last post that doesn't resonate with what I'm trying to build or what I'm trying to achieve with your tool that you're trying to offer, right? So there are different scenarios that people are building, but the most critical failures are people are still adapting to how they use AI.
That's true. That's true. And obviously, the generic prompts, they just don't work. And the reason why we are so frustrated with that and the reason why we're here talking about that is that the lower results, the lower open, yeah, we do suggest not to track open rates. We do know that most of the prospects still do track those. So the lower opens, the lower responses you get, the harder it is for you to scale your outreach because all of those metrics are interlinked. They all impact, each one impacts another one, and everything also impacts your deliverability. So in the end of the day, it burns out your domains, it burns out your reputation. So that's why we need to talk. That's why we need to bring it to the table that qualitative outreach is still number one thing, no matter how many tools, no matter how many workflows or AI optimizations you use, you still need to take care of the quality of that infrastructure to make it work for you, not against you.
Yeah, that's true. The thing here is people spend a lot of money on different stuff to make their outreach very effective. They use lots of different tools, sometimes too much tools to make sure everything lands properly. But currently infrastructure is still the main thing, but it isn't enough currently to maintain great technical stuff and technical records. We need to take care much more about the content right now and about the proper navigation on how we use those tools than there was ever before.
All right, so let's start with the bigger picture. So, probably everybody in this room, or at least two of us, we do know a lot about the tech setup, about all the DNS records and everything that you need to take care from the cold outreach perspective, from the infrastructural perspective. So, where do you see the main drop is happening, and why is it so?
I think the biggest drop right now is people and many businesses are seeing too much emails from businesses because still cold outreach email is one of the most effective channel if done properly, but everybody can use that. We can create hundred of different mailboxes and try to reach to everybody, right? However, the volume here is the biggest trap. When we talk to different founders or to different sales team, what we usually see is people trying to reach the bigger audience. However, the part here is they underestimate the content and the quality of the outreach that they are doing, right? People as humanity, right? We adapt and we also can track and spot this AI crafting tool and this high level personalization. Like, oh my God, I saw what you are building with XYZ company. This is amazing. Would you be open to talking more about my goals or our company? People still talk a lot about them rather talking about what they can bring to the table and how they are product can solve my issues. And when people are trying to craft the content with AI, this AI is very spotted. So this high level personalization that is not relevant to my case or that is not relevant to the problem, the AI patterns, the email looks very similar to the previous that I've already read, and the other factors that I personally can see from far away, right? Maybe your top three failures that you can spot from far away, and the top three problems that you see in outreach when AI is adapting.
Yeah, sure. So I think that, and there were different parts, different levels of how AI was utilized for the outreach. Previously was mainly for crafting emails, like you upload your database to the tool for the outreach, and then you go to the tool X to create the copy for your outreach, and then you put everything together. But basically, the copy is created by AI. And that was, I think, the main way for such outreach was maybe a couple of years ago. Now it feels like more people are using Claude or Claude Code to run this automatically in their browser or through some automations. And it feels like they're connecting dots, like they upload the database, then Claude or any other tool they're using goes through their LinkedIn profiles or some basic information they uploaded there. Based on that, it crafts emails. But for AI where it is right now without any proper educational process, it's still very hard to detect what's important. So I regularly receive, and that's my favorite, I regularly receive outreach about deliverability tool and about taking care of our deliverability. And it feels like, well, probably not the best space to pitch your solution because we're exactly the company that does deliverability. So it feels like if you want to use, and I'm not against it, we use AI heavily. It's just that you do need to invest maybe a couple of months training your AI model or training the set of tools that you're using to detect and identify those exact signals that actually would make sense for the person. It can be something very basic from job changes to some economical changes in the company set, maybe revenue growth, maybe investment, maybe change in the team setup. So some signals that you were actually detecting before AI, and you're trying to spot on those things before to customize your messages, but now you need to pass this information, pass that experience and knowledge down to AI to make sure that your tool actually spots on all of those things, so your emails, they just don't sound generic. And using GitHub, using different repositories, you can find so many tools to adjust your tone of voice to make sure it doesn't sound AI. Because I think that there are two camps right now: people who want to detect AI and not answer to those emails because everybody's bored, And people who don't care whether it was AI written, as long as it has value, as long as there is an opportunity there, you still can break through them. And you cannot predict which one of those two camps your audience belongs to, but you can make sure that your email sounds, they actually bring value, so you're not wasting time. And that's not just for AI, it's for regular outreach as well. It's generic.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I love the thing about the broken lists, right? We can have a great offer, but this poor list building practice that you're just searching or creating a prompt that can give you a list of 1,000, if not 10,000 of different prospects that you want to talk to, but you are not trying to invest the proper timing just to understand whether your solution will be relevant for them. And even though you can pass filters and go to the inbox, the trust there, the trust isn't there because we need to be very careful on how we are talking to people. And this still needs to be very relevant to them because nowadays, if you are in the inbox, it's a win. But the biggest win if you are in the inbox for the relevant people, right? So if you can share a little bit more on how we adapt to that in Folderly, because I know that currently in Folderly and how we work with our clients and Folderly folks is very different how it was 4 or 3 years ago, right? We are taking care of so many other things rather than just deliverability and inbox placement tests. It's so much more. So if you can just share a little bit on that side on what have changed from past and what are the tools that people need to use just to make sure that they will go through the filters and their message will be seen.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So the main difference, first of all, we need to understand what happened to the recipient side. So now they have available tools to scan through their inbox, detect what is important for them, and highlight those emails while putting in different folders, less prioritized folders, the emails that are of a lower priority. So that's why the polishing process of your emails and making sure they actually bring some values as important as never before, because people on the recipient side, they put those rules. Okay, that kind of topic is important for me, it's on the table for me right now. Any tool, any agent that they are using, any supporting tool, maybe it's Claude Code, maybe it's Open Claude. There are so many things for that. Maybe it's broadly, but any of them can go through your inbox and deprioritize certain emails. So for that reason, you need to get into, not literally, but you need to get into their head and understand what exactly on the priority list. So for now, it feels like it's super important to know those triggers, to have in your ideal customer profile, and I always get back to that topic because it's still number one thing. The better you understand your audience, the higher probability that your email will get a response, and you'll have a deal, or you'll have a good relationship, or whatever you're trying to achieve, you can achieve that. So what we do, having that in mind, what we have changed at Folderly, and I have written about that a couple of days ago, that it's very important to map your ideal customer profile with your value proposition, because again, different audience will articulate their problems differently, different positions will articulate them differently, so you need to map it out. You cannot just bump people with the generic average value proposition, because that's pretty much what everybody else does, so you will not stand out for sure. So you do need to understand pains, and you need to understand how you articulate those pains to different audiences that may benefit from using your solution or product. So that was a number one thing that we've changed in our outreach process. And we don't do a mass outreach either. So we do very curated, very precise outreach to the audience that we notice those triggers in. So we don't blast them with 100,000 emails, and we don't suggest that to our customers either, because that's not the sustainable way to grow. It is a strategy, but we don't follow this strategy. At least we don't follow this strategy at Folderly. And again, that comes down to bringing value and understand that not every company can benefit from Folderly. Not every company does cold outreach in the first place. So we need to understand, for us, it's a great trigger to understand whether a company does outreach or not. And for instance, one of our acquisition channels is our spam folder. When we see people landing there, we can 100% say they have a problem with deliverability, and we don't randomly send emails to them. We see the problem. We can screenshot the problem. So for us, it's very easy, but it's very easy now because before that, we did our research to understand how we can see that they're doing A, outreach, B, they're having troubles doing their outreach. And then tools is just an implementation. If you have the knowledge, if you have the knowledge base, then you can trade pretty much any tool to execute that outreach. So the toolkit is not as important as a deep, good understanding of your audience, of their pains, and how to bring those values to them in the way they're ready to listen to them.
Sure. Because still, one of the biggest thing that we are facing right now is we do have the spam threshold, right? All know about 0.3% of the spam threshold rate that we cannot exceed in any way. And we also know about the Microsoft strict filters that they apply if you send those emails. So knowing the audience will be the top in my list when you're launching your outreach. You need to be confident who are you talking to, because the more people mark you as spam, no matter how previously long and painful you did work on your perfect offer content, building the list, or trying to put different lead magnets to that, if people are marking you as spam, and it will, in this threshold, with this threshold, it won't be the big number. So once they do, you are already downgrading the reputation of the domain. And in that case, no matter how great the offer is and how many tools you implemented to build and craft amazing email template, you won't be seen until you fix the issue with deliverability, right? So currently, with all of those AI-powered inboxes, we all know about the Gemini updates. We all know about how Microsoft is giving us a score that is calculated not only based on the previous opens, but also on the engagement level, right? Our potential clients and prospects to click and respond on our emails, not only because we want them to be the customers, of course we do, but also just for making sure that our next emails and our next batch of copy will be sent to the inbox, because this is what Microsoft and Gemini or Google will monitor for us. So making sure that we are not exceeding this threshold, making sure this offer is seen and we are engaging with prospects. And in that case, it's a win game for sure.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I had an interesting conversation maybe a couple of days ago with a team who actually do a very massive outreach. They outreach about 1 million prospects per day or something like that. And they have a response rate, or better yet, a conversion rate of 0.0001%. In our case, we have an interest rate of about 10% because we don't blast them. And if we calculate in actual numbers, the result is pretty much the same. So you can invest into searching 1 million prospects, you can invest into launching a campaign for 1 million users, you can burn out your domains, you can actually schedule some of the meetings through that outreach, but you get the same almost exact number as if you were sending a couple of thousand emails per day, but you actually invested a lot into a pre-send process, into taking care of your infrastructure, into protecting your brand, into preparing the copy, curating the data set, matching that with your copy. So taking care of the pre-send part. And that matters a lot because the second option, you can scale. So you can add a couple of thousand to that and get the same exact high interest rate, but you cannot scale if you're sending already at 1 million emails per day volume. You can add at 2 million, but then there is a limit to the database you can reach out to. The number of people is limited. So You want to be very precise with that because you'll drain your database but not get the result you want.
Yeah, exactly. And this is exactly what we also do in Folderly, right? When we firstly start with the deep audit process, because we need to know where we want to be. When we want to fix something, we need to be confident on what is broken and where it needs our attention. So what we do is we are just making sure this ground is built properly. We know that the technical side is protected. We know that the content there is clean with no AI patterns that we also change. We know that AI brings so much broken symbols, broken links, spammy words that we need to change. And we are working on the technicals, we're working on the sending behavior, we are working on the sending logic. And in that case, when we are building this ground, and only in that case, we are trying to build the proper warm up logic and trying to save this infrastructure and boost the general outreach strategy. So we are seeing amazing results. So we do have cases when the ROI from email outreach just skyrocketed, right? Just because we
Yeah.
fixed something that wasn't fixed for a long time because people were doing the A B tests with their content. They were doing A B tests with the sending limits, email number sent, so different things. However, there needs to be a proper basement built to make sure we are adding more and you are sending confidently.
Yes, yes, for sure. All right, so I have a question to you. So you talk to our prospects on a daily basis. What do you think frustrates them the most currently with cold outreach? Because with cold outreach, it's always tricky. Some people believe that it works. Some people hesitate it works, but they want to try. But some people truly believe it doesn't work, but their management team or leadership wants to try it out, so they give it a shot, and then they get disappointed. They prove them right, and they stop using it the channel overall. So, from what you hear, what frustrates people the most currently?
I think that's a very great question. And we are still getting to the very beginning when we've mentioned that cold outreach is still one of the main and biggest channel where you can get the clients if done properly. I think the biggest challenge for businesses that are building outreach just from scratch is that they are thinking about the amazing results that they would get from day one, right? They are trying to build an amazing outreach. They invest time to the copy and then they press send and boom, nothing happens. They have zero replies and they're thinking about, oh my God, maybe the email isn't the great channel for me. I'll go and search leads in LinkedIn and to try to cold call them. So I think having the proper benchmarks in mind will be very important if you're building the outreach from for the first time, because even though those patterns and filters are adapting and almost every company sends this cold outreach, we need to be aware that we won't get the first deal closed after the first email we send. We still need to test and we still need to understand what will work for our business model and for our business and for our offer. So that's probably top one thing that I'm seeing and I'm hearing from businesses that are building the outreach. However, if we're talking about the established teams that are having 10 SDRs or 50 SDRs that are building their outreach, and they all know the structure, they all have their own patterns, their own tone of voice. So the biggest concern for them is that they have no visibility on what is broken. And that's something that I'm very sad to hear all of the time because you talk to an amazing person that knows the offer the best, that knows how to talk, who to talk to. And they already work in that game they play this game for a long, long time. And then something happened and they just are not sure what exactly. And we're still getting to this AI era when Gemini and all of those AI inboxes are progressing very rapidly. Their messages are getting filtered. So what will be important for those type of teams that have the good strategy, good structure is to have the proper monitoring that will help them understand what is broken and where their attention needs to be. So having in mind what kind of spam trigger I am facing, whether that's my template or that's the DNS problem. or it's the AI pattern in my copy, or I just exceeded the spam threshold and I don't know, 10 people from yesterday marked me as spam, so I need to decrease the volume. So having in mind all of those things that, okay, I'm facing twice less replies this month than it was a
Yeah.
year ago. What should I do? Okay, you're going to the proper tool, you know where to look at, and you know exactly what is broken. So the fix is being done in just 10 minutes. Not saying that the fix on deliverability will be done on 10 minutes. I mean, to see the real 100% progress on that, but it will be genuinely very relevant to understand what exactly needs to be fixed before you redo the whole strategy and map the outbound motion.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And thanks for sharing that. I think that that resonates with a lot of people because pretty much in marketing, pretty much everybody struggles with the same thing. It's just different people name those things differently. So it's very helpful when everybody sees the whole picture from the same angle. So it's easier to adjust the strategy. All right. I think we're running out of time. The key takeaways from our today's session. We just want to make sure that, again, everybody's aligned on what has happened, what has changed, and how you should react to that. So, Marta, if we were to sum it up in a couple of words, how you should do your outreach today to get a high response rate, B, protect your brand and your reputation from getting and C, not get disappointed in the channel overall.
So, going from the baseline, make sure you know the audience and make sure your offer resonates with the people you're going to talk to. Based on the great ICP that you've developed, based on the previous case studies and the customers you have already worked with, craft the reasonable and good copy. If you are utilize AI that helps you craft messages, which is really great, we do that very often in Folderly as well. Try to build the proper prompts that will help you highlight the relevant things that you want to go with to the client, and make sure you have the relevant and properly built infrastructure with manageable number of emails that you're going to send, with the good tools that can help you spot the issues before those actually impact your campaign. And with all of the AI that is developing very rapidly, make sure that you're staying human because you will still talk to human. So emotions and humanity will definitely save the cold outreach.
Great, great. That's a great quote. All right. Thanks everybody who were listening to us today. We will be doing that every other week. We'll try to put this on your schedules so that you don't miss the next one. And until then, happy outreach and let's stay in touch.